A major conference will soon get underway here in Berlin, aimed at ending years of conflict in Libya. Germany says its aim is to stop Libya from becoming a second Syria, and it's bringing together the country's main warring parties and their international allies at the negotiating table. Right now, Libya and its backers are split between two rival governments. In Tripoli, the UN-backed government of Fayez al-Sarraj, and in Tobruk, the Libyan National Army led by General Khalifa Haftar. Germany has expressed confidence that an agreement can be reached in the German capital, but few Libyans share their optimism.
A quiet day in Libya's capital, Tripoli. Libyans awaiting news of Sunday's Berlin peace conference. But expectations are low.
Regarding the Berlin conference, if it favours the Libyan people, Libya will of course welcome it. But if it favours other matters, then we won't be happy. The truth is, the conference of Berlin is simply a trap for Libya. I don't think that any benefits will come out of it.
There are currently two sides to Libya: the internationally recognized government and the opposition, spearheaded by this man, General Khalifa Haftar. He wants to take power, and he's raised the stakes. Forces supporting General Haftar have blocked oil exports from key ports in eastern Libya, holding the economy to ransom. The country is divided, with anti-Haftar protests in western Libya. The conference in Berlin, overseen by the United Nations, aims to bridge this divide, but it won't be easy.
I am not so pessimistic to say that Berlin will be useless, but I'm not so naive to say that it will be the end of international divisions. If we can lighten, reduce, calm down and qualify the divisions, especially the regional ones, but also international divisions that we have seen in recent times, that would be very good.
9 years of conflict in Libya has slowly turned into a regional proxy war. The UN wants world leaders to stop meddling and hopes the Berlin conference will be the beginning of the end for foreign interference.
Joining me now in the studio is DW political correspondent Hans Brandt. Hans, thanks for being here. How crucial are today's international peace talks for Libya's future?
Well, obviously, there's no guarantee of success, but I think the main significance lies in the fact that it is happening at all, that all these different players are being brought to a single table, sitting around the same table in the same conference room and discussing the future of Libya, discussing their rival interests in Libya and deciding how that can be resolved, how those interests can be balanced out. It's a very, very complex situation with a whole lot of different players. Apart from the actual combatants on the ground, as it were, there's Russia on the one side, Turkey on the other side, there are the United Arab Emirates and Egypt on the one side, there's Qatar on the other side. In fact, we have a little piece trying to explain what exactly the different sides are. Let's have a look at that.
Strongman General Khalifa Haftar wants Tripoli. Together with his Libyan National Army, he hopes to capture the country's capital and take full control of this oil-rich nation. And it's partly because of oil that Russia and Turkey have waded in on opposite sides of this conflict. With Turkey behind Fayez al-Sarraj's UN-backed government and Russia supporting Haftar. Moscow has denied reports it sent mercenaries to reinforce the general's fighters. But on Thursday, Turkey confirmed it had started deploying troops to help al-Sarraj in Tripoli, despite a UN arms embargo. With Libya so unstable, the fear of resurgent Islamist terror has worried many European countries. But other factors mean the EU is split over its alliances. Officially, the Tripoli-based government has the backing of Europe, including Germany. But Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte met General Haftar earlier this month. Rome sees him as crucial in stemming the flow of migrants across the Mediterranean. And France's concerns over terrorism, as well as its interests in Libya's oil wealth, has put it at odds with the EU's official line. There are claims it's given covert military help to General Haftar. Earlier this week, peace talks in Moscow broke down. Despite many interests at stake and the players involved, Germany seems determined to pursue its mediation role. But even if a ceasefire is agreed, the road to peace looks a long way off.
Now, that piece just laid out the fact that just days ago, General Haftar walked away from peace talks in Russia, just days ago. So that might give some observers the sense that there's very little confidence you should have that a resolution will be reached today.
Well, at the same time, we have to say that just on the eve of these talks, General Haftar and his supporters blocked the exports of oil from Libya and occupied some Libyan oil fields. Again, a kind of power play on the part of the general, showing how powerful he is, how he is able, in fact, to cut off the lifeline for the whole of Libya. The oil income is important both for his side and for the internationally recognized government. On the other hand, the German foreign minister has recently been to see General Haftar in Libya and came back saying Haftar is prepared to accede to the cessation of hostilities that is in fact been arranged at the moment, and possibly to a ceasefire. So it's very unclear how far this is going to go. In fact, General Haftar and his opposite number, as it were, Fayez al-Sayed, the leader of the internationally recognized government, are not literally sitting at the table today. They're staying in the background. It's their backers, the people who actually are responsible for the arms coming in, for the mercenaries coming in, that are going to have to thrash it out amongst themselves.
Hans, whenever there are high-stakes diplomacy, like in this case, with emotions running high, really intense warring factions, the question is, if there's a resolution, assuming there is one, will that resolution actually have teeth? What effect will it actually have on the ground? How likely is that to really matter in this case, or is it just going to end up being a piece of paper?
And that's absolutely crucial. It could just end up being a piece of paper. After all, we've had a United Nations-imposed arms embargo for years, and arms have been flowing into Libya in huge numbers. That piece of paper stayed just a piece of paper. So the question of how this is going to be implemented is going to be crucial. The kind of discussions that are going on foresee some sort of role for the United Nations. Al-Sayed has said that he wants a European Union force to come into Libya to oversee the transition period. There is some possibility of some kind of military observer mission on the part of the United Nations being established, but that's all very unclear at the moment. And as you say, that is crucial. How is this going to be implemented, even if there's an agreement today?
You mentioned the United Nations, so let's stick with this notion of reaching resolution, which is crucial at this point. The UN has said that they want to make sure that there is no more foreign interference. And yet, when you look at the lay of the land out there in Berlin today, it is full of foreign players. Those are going to be the main negotiators. Is there going to be some room for compromise?
Yes, there's always room for compromise, obviously. It's a matter of power. It's a matter of finding a balance between the various interests that are represented by these powers, with their interest involved in things like oil, things like migration and terrorism, a division of influence in the Mediterranean area. All of that plays a role. It's geostrategically very important. And these major players have to agree on what the division of power, division of interest they could see happening in the future. If they agree, then the combatants on the ground will have to stick with their line.
DW political correspondent Hans Brandt, thanks so much.